You are listening to Your Physique Radio, broadcasting worldwide via iTunes, YouTube, and Facebook. Your Physique Radio. It's your physique. It's your choice.
Alright everybody, welcome along to Your Physique Radio. Episode number 7 is July the 8th, 2012. My name is Colin Kennedy and I'm joined as always by Craig Clifford. Craig, we had a competition on yesterday, the Chicago Wings of Strength. Did you see the results? Have you got a rundown? And, you know, give us some opinions as always.
Yeah, well, welcome everybody. Thanks for listening in. Yeah, it seemed to be a pretty good lineup actually, to be honest. Looking at the top 5 in the Open, we had AD Cherry coming in at 5. In number 4, we had Gregory Atoyan. Number 3, and a friend of ours on Facebook, Anne Nguyen. Second, Freddie Smalls, and coming in first place, Essa Obiad. And actually, before we go to 212, we might as well discuss that. Colin, how did you think it went? Did you see it? Are you happy with the placings, top 5?
You know what, I am. We last week when we aired, we were not aware that Essa Obiad was going to be in the show. If he was, he would have been my pick for number 1. Of course, that's easier to say now that the show is over and done with. But he looked great the week before. We thought he deserved to win that week. He comes in here, he just looks as good, if not a little bit tighter. He's big, he's thick, he's hard. There's no real flaws in this guy's physique. Really, you know, he did his homework. Obviously, he came in and he definitely outdid who I had picked for my number 1, which was Omar Deckard. Omar wasn't looking like I thought he was going to look, but he placed out of the top 5 and he joins the rest of the pack at the bottom. But looking at the top 5, AD Cherry, again, you know, the lineup wasn't so wonderful, so he comes in 5th, and look, I think it's a point on the board for him for the Olympia qualifying. Gregory Atoyan, he looked pretty good as well, but again, I'm not a fan of his physique. However, 3rd place, An Nguyen. Guy comes in, he's Asian American, he's training with Charles Glass in Gold's Gym in Venice. As you said, he's one of our friends on Facebook, and you know, we've sent him a couple of comments and he's responded to those, and I have to say that, you know, on your first professional show, your debut, 3rd place, the 2 guys ahead of you, they're seasoned at this stage, so, you know, well done to Anne for coming in 3rd place in the open class. Fred Smalls, Craig, we said it, if he pulled it in a little bit tighter this week, he would surprise some people and possibly place 1st, 2nd. I think I had him in 2nd place, and that's where he falls on this occasion. And like we said, Essa takes number 1. So I'm not disappointed with the results. I am surprised with Omar Deckard to come in the way he did. And actually, Craig, let's go back here for a second. Eric Fankhauser.
Yeah.
How did you see him on stage versus the results?
Well, look, I'll just go through the Open thing first before I get on to Eric, right? From what I thought, anyway.
Okay.
Number 1, 2, 3, and 4, in my opinion, in the placings were good, and that's where I placed them. So I was happy enough with that. Now in 5th, now let me see why number 2, Fred. Yeah, he was way better than last week, Colin. Mm-hmm. You could see that he was tighter. He obviously did his homework, and you know what we said last week, whether he heard it or not, you know, I don't know, but you know, he did do something about it, and it worked for him.
Yeah.
I mean, and when, like I say, our friend on Facebook, his debut in a pro show to come 3rd on a debut, I don't care if you're up against me in that lineup, it's still a pro lineup regardless, and you still got to come in 3rd, which is a fantastic result for the guy. And I think he's only 26, Colin.
Yeah, he's I don't know if he's that young, but he's one of the younger guys there. But he posted a picture up on his Facebook, which appears on R1 and Your Physique Radio on Facebook, guys. If you're tuning in and you're not aware, go to facebook.com/Your Physique Radio, and you will see a link that Anne put up himself from 2001 Asian Bodybuilding Championships versus the 2010, I think it was, Nationals, and just the amount of muscle this guy has put on since then is just crazy. I mean, it's been 8, 9, 10 years, but he's progressing and he's continuing to progress, and he looks better last night at this show than he did when he actually won his pro card. So the guy is doing something right, whether it's the combination of training with Charles Glass and his genetics and his contest prep, or if the guy just has what he needs I don't know, but third place in this show. I think he could sneak into the 212 class, Craig.
Yeah, I'd love to know what weight he was on stage, to be honest.
Yeah.
Not sure about that, but he looked fantastic, I must say, no. You know, but what I was kind of going to say, but I'm nearly 100% sure he's either 26 or 27. On that frame, he's got plenty of scope for gains, like plenty, if he wants to stay in the open class. So just on a very good thing that you mentioned about his progress from, say, 8 years ago today. And if he is 26, when he turns 34, that's another 8 years. Can you imagine where he could be, Colin?
I know. No, I'm.
Jesus, he's got serious condition. Oh, I do like his physique, so he's got a big future, I think, anyway, a big future.
Yeah, he's definitely one to watch. I mean, I do think that he could possibly fit into the 212. Now, maybe he's way above that, I'm not quite sure, but I think he won the Nationals at heavyweight, which would mean he's in around that 210, 212 mark. But again, that's 2 years ago now, I believe, that he turned pro. So, he's probably put on some additional muscle since then, and maybe he's just outside the barriers of the 212. But, good physique, pleasing. There's no real downfall to him. He's fairly symmetrical front and back, top and bottom. His conditioning was pretty good. He gets third place, and, congratulations on.
Yeah. Gregory Italian came in fourth. And I think that quad issue that we mentioned last week is obviously must be a non-issue anymore, because he was up there and it didn't seem like there was a problem there. Remember, we were mentioning something on last week's show.
Yeah, he apparently tore his quad or whatever, but he competed last week with it. Apparently, he was holding some water in the area. I don't know whether it was an excuse or whatnot, but he comes in and he competes again the following week. So that leg of his can't be in too bad shape if he's able to compete and flex and do what he has to do,
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Just going back here to An Wen, I just pulled up his previous contest results, and it was the 2011 Nationals, in fact, where he won his pro card in the heavyweight category. So, he's in around that 210, 212 mark at the most at that time. Now, he may have changed, but, and then he comes in Chicago Pro, places third and his first. So, he's progressing. He's doing what he's doing. In 2010, he was a light heavyweight, so he's obviously putting on 7, 8, 9, 10 pounds of muscle per year, which is extremely good. If you can do it, by all means, keep doing it, because his physique, I feel it can hold more muscle. His lines are nice and tight. I've watched some interviews of him on MD with Muscle Beach TV, on Mad Max or Dave Burley is the guy who does the interviews for those. And I have to say, he comes across as a nice guy, fairly down to earth, and he seems like he actually enjoys the sport of bodybuilding, which is, as we know, is going to be very important in terms of continuing in future success.
Yeah.
But going back then, Craig, how do you see the other ones? You've got Fred Smalls. How did you see?
I like Fred came in way better, deserved his second place, and like I said, Nguyen deserved his third place. Gregory Italian, to be honest, deserved fourth. Although I'm kind of on your side there, I'm not a big fan of his physique, but you have to give it to him. The guy did look pretty good, and he looked much better than last week. Yeah. Now it's from here where it gets a bit shaky for me. Like AD Cherry, especially on the first call out in the pre-judging, I was watching it on Aaron Singerman's actually on his Twitter thing, and they left him out. They called out the first five, and usually in the first call outs, you're pretty much guaranteed you're in the top five. And he was there, and he was switching in the middle, switched to the outside, doing all the good things that you'd like to see. Mm-hmm. But then in the evening, on the second call out, they left him out, which was strange. And then they put another different four guys alongside him. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, he's
odd. And AD Cherry wasn't up against the top four. He wasn't compared against the top four. In the pre-judging, which is kind of strange. I don't know what happened there, but I mean, look, Eric Frankhauser, his legs are ridiculous. Yeah. I mean, them calves are like, if my quads were that big, I'd be happy. Mm-hmm. I mean, seriously, the guy's legs are just incredible. Like his upper body is good too. I think his chest might be lacking just a small bit maybe, and if I'm honest, and I hate saying this, he probably did look a little soft. But on the flip side of that, I seen him with pictures of him after, 2 hours after the show had ended, backstage.
Yep.
I see pictures of him today, and he looked fantastic. He looked way drier, way harder. So it might have been just a timing issue or whatever he did. Maybe carb loading or not carb loading or whatever he didn't do or did do.
Well,
it might be mistimed, I think.
The thing there is now he's been working with a new diet coach in Neil Hill, who also works with Flex Lewis. And you know, it's their first competition together, so that could be just a little bit of tweaking. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see Eric again before the Olympia is on in September at one of the next shows, so the PBW in Miami or the Finland show, just to make sure he gets in and qualifies. Because I think that if he was a little bit harder, a little bit drier, he was genuinely, in my opinion, fighting for at least third place there with On. So we'll see, but it was their first time together, so that could have had a big factor in it.
Yeah, because I mean, when the first three, when the three were called out, the top three, I kind of went, you know, that's fair enough. But I was expecting Eric Frankhauser fighting for fourth or fifth.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I know there was a few issues, but he wasn't sixth in that lineup. I don't think, anyway. You know, plus, I don't know. Maybe I'm looking at it from a different point of view because I actually really like the guy. You posted a video there. You see him. He's such a family guy. Everything's done around his family. You know, he's a hard guy not to like, to be honest.
Yeah,
you know?
I think that same video actually, or one of the videos related to that, he was mentioning about his Olympia 2010, which was his last time to be on stage. Yeah. He qualified by coming 4th or 5th in the New York Pro that year, goes on to the Olympia, places at the very, very far end of the spectrum. I think he was 16th or 17th. And he said on that day he was in around 209 or 210 on stage at the Olympia. Now, if he's at 209 or 210, 2 years ago, and now apparently he's competing in the 230s under the tutelage of Neil Hill, whether it's the foods, whatever else, the rest from training, I don't know, but he's gone up in weight. But if he was in the 212 class this week with his 210 body from the New York Pro back in 2010, he could have taken this show home at the 212s.
Oh yeah, that's, oh my god, without a doubt.
You know?
Saying that then, for his body, like, if he was it 228 or whatever it was on stage, if he had to get to the 212, he might have over-dieted and looked a bit sloppy, you know?
Yeah, at this stage now, absolutely. I'm just going back, if the 212 category was around in 2010,
yeah,
if he had gone in then,
yeah.
not on this week's performance, no, not at all. He would have withered down to nothing if he had to drop 20 pounds of muscle there. But
looking, staying with Eric there now, I mean, if he had, just looking at him, if he maybe had one more week, I think, do you know what I mean? Because the timing was out, I think if there was another show next weekend and he entered, you know, he would probably place in the top three, I would think. Yeah. Because like you said earlier on, Colin, about Neil Hill, and it's their first show, so they're probably just seeing how things went. It probably didn't go totally to plan, but at least they know, you know, what does work. Do you know what I mean?
Well, I'll tell you, Eric was definitely surprised himself, because he said once he started actually doing Neil Hill's diet, and this is dieting and stripping fat, he actually gained weight. Now, apparently it was muscle that he gained, but it just shows that neither Neil or Eric himself have kind of got that cohesion just yet. But if we look at Flex Lewis as an example, Neil Hill knows how to get guys in shape. He knows how to bring them in condition, and just give him a few more shows, a few more competitions together, and I guarantee that Eric, if he sticks with Neil, that he's going to come in peeled and he's going to look as good as he can look. And outside of that, it's just genetic structure. He can't change it. You know, he's definitely going to be in condition. And at this stage, he's probably gained as much muscle as he can. That's my opinion, just looking at his age and how long he's been training, how long he's been competing. But again, you know, new diet strategies and new protocols outside of that might change some things for him. So look, we'll see. But I do wish him the very best if he does compete again before the Olympia. And you know, I don't see it outside the realms of possibility that he will actually qualify for this year's Olympia, all going to plan.
Yeah.
But other than that, you know, he's the big one that was disappointing for me in terms of, even the way he looked, I think he still deserved Eddie Cherry's 5th place.
Oh Jesus, yeah.
If he
Yeah,
looked,
that's. Oh yeah.
yeah, if he
Yeah.
looked better then, or if he was a little bit tighter, maybe top 3. But you know, look, it's a learning curve. I'm sure he's learned a lot from this experience, as will the rest of the guys who didn't come in quite tip-top shape. But as it stands, we've Eddie Cherry in 5, Gregory Atoy in 4, Anne Nguyen in 3, Fred Smalls in 2, and Issa Obiad in 1st place, taking his pro win home with him. 212, Craig. Have a look at the 212 there. Tell me what you see, what you like, what you don't.
Yeah, in 3rd place we have Ahmed.
Yep.
In 2nd place we've little Derek Farnsworth. And I say little, that's because his height. And coming in, taking the top place in that category is Jamal El Madwi. I hope I'm pronouncing your name right. But yeah, I can't argue with the top 3, to be honest.
Yep.
I really can't. And Jamal El Madwi, if that's his name, if I have it right, I believe he competed last week in the Open and got 6th in the Open category last week.
Oh, that's I'm going to check that, but I haven't talked about his physique there anyway. And look, I looked at the images as well, and I saw the prejudging video that was posted on RX, and I'm not surprised that he won this show looking the way he did.
Yeah, he looked great. Like he's massive among the muscle. Like for a little guy, he's massive among the muscle. I really deserved the first, to be honest. Now Derek Farnsworth really pushed him all the way. And I like Derek Farnsworth, another great guy, I think. Love watching interviews on him, so positive, fantastic physique. I think he's 5'2", I believe. But this guy now, I believe, is so strong. I think he's a deadlifting background, and he's unbelievable strength as well. I know it's not got to do with bodybuilding, but I just throw it in there because I know. Ahmed came in at 3rd, and again deserved, I think. So I think there was only 2 more people in that group, so we just leave it at the top 3. Now, as far as Derek Farnsworth is also a physio for Jay Cutler, actually. He does lots of therapy for Jay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in California, or in Vegas, is it?
No, he's in San Diego. Yeah, he's in California.
Yeah, it's San Diego. Yeah. So Jay must obviously go to him, I guess, or whatever, once a week, or once a month, or whatever it is.
Yeah, I've seen some videos of Derek doing his ART and active release and whatever on one of the women who is on RX Muscle. Suzanne is her name, and my God, the torture that they seem to be going through is just unbelievable, you know. But look, if they feel released, if they feel like the muscle or the active release therapy, if it works in terms of allowing the muscles to separate a little bit better, allowing for extra flexibility, that can only help in terms of training and posing, and you know, allowing the separation of detail to come through once you are actually dieted down, so that the muscles are aligning properly. Just like a chiropractor will help align the muscles of your spine and your hips and whatever else. You know, the active release therapy definitely will allow you to open up a little bit more in some of the shots, the front lat spread and the rear lat spread, and you know, should allow more release through the shoulder joints especially. So you know, I've seen the videos. It's very intense. I wouldn't mind trying the experience myself, but it wouldn't be what I would call a good time. So but yeah, Derek looked good. The first time I ever saw Derek in person was probably in 2006. I wasn't quite sure of who he was at the time. We were sitting in the Firehouse restaurant in Venice Beach just after training at Gold's Gym, and I went in and sat down to eat, and across the room there was Derek Farnsworth. Again, he was sitting up in a chair, so I wasn't quite sure of how short he was. I believe he's just barely 5 feet. But once he came down off his stool, my God, he's just so big. Like like you said, he's a smaller guy, but my God, to see him in person, it's very impressive. And up until very recently, at least, maybe not now, I'm not sure, but he did claim that he was a natural bodybuilder. So look, we'll leave my hiss or my awe as is what it is, but regardless, for his height and his weight ratio, the guy is a fantastic physique. I saw him one time on a video. It's on one of Jay Cutler's video where he guest poses with Jay Cutler. So it was kind of David versus Goliath on stage, but it was entertaining. So he does seem like a nice guy as well. So again, second place, as much as his physique deserved it, I'm glad to see that he came in there going based on his personality as well.
You know what weight he was, Colin?
I'm going to say 185, 186.
160.
What?
Yep.
Holy shit.
Yeah, 160 pounds of pure and utter muscle on stage.
So like I said, he's a short guy, but 160, anyone's out there who, I'm 175, I'm 180, 220, I don't care. If you're 5 feet and you're 160 and you're ripped, there's a huge difference between 185 or 220 and 5'10" or 6 feet. It's a huge difference. But again, Derek, fair play, pal, second place in 212. You deserved it, and that should probably get him enough points to qualify for the 212 Olympia Showdown. Hopefully so, and if not, I'm sure he'll probably do another show between now and then to get in there. But looking down the rest of the line, last week we were told what we had in the list was the final list of competitors. There were more names added. Essa Obiad in the open class is the perfect example. And looking at the 212s, there's I think 9 competitors. Last week we had 5, and that was the official list from the contest promoters themselves. So I don't know what these guys did to get in to the show, whether they paid an additional fee or a late fee, whatever it was. They were there, they showed up, and again, Craig, this goes back to our issue with not knowing who's in the shows prior. We can't do a proper rundown. The contest promoters have a hard time promoting the show. Look, we've covered it in a previous episode, but it's definitely something that needs to be fixed, and fixed without question. It has to be done for the first show of next year. Has to be.
Yeah. Actually, saying that how did they get in and stuff, Baldo Abaspor, who was supposed to be competing this weekend, never turned up. So I'm wondering, was there a place available when he pulled out or something? I'm not sure, or why he pulled out. It's unknown to me at this stage. We try to do some more fishing for you guys, but as far as I know, I don't know why he pulled out of the show this week. Just didn't turn up. So
just going back there to 212 winner Jamal, he did actually place 6th, you were correct, in the open class at the Battle of Champions last week. So from 6th to 1st in the 212, 6th in the open to 1st in the 212, excellent decision to come down, and it paid off. First place 2012 Chicago Wings of Strength winner Jamal Ella Dowie, congratulations.
You actually said it there now, Colin. He obviously seen, this is going to be a good lineup in Chicago. There's only 5 guys in 212, or 4 I suppose at that stage. I'll get in there, I'll probably win. Yeah. It's good insight from his point of view. He's gone around, probably he's getting a much bigger check obviously from getting first in the 212 than getting 6th or 7th in the open. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, he'll get 0 for coming 6th, whereas in the 212 I think he'll get about $3,000.
So, you know what I mean? That's smart, and at the end of the day, bills have to be paid, so,
Exactly, yeah. So, well, that's the Chicago Wings of Strength. All in all, it wasn't a bad show. It wasn't the best lineup. The next show that we will be covering won't be until August the 8th and 9th. It's the IFBB Pro Bodybuilding Weekly, or Pro Bodybuilding Worldwide, whatever they're being called now. Tampa Pro. Craig, we have some rumours of names who are in already. Give us a few of them.
Rolly Winkler is doing the show. I know that. I definitely know that. Tony Freeman, as far as I know. This is going to be a very, very good lineup. Probably the second best of it. Actually, no, probably it is going to be the second best of the year. It's going to be better than New York. The lineup. It looks like a very tough lineup. Very good show. There must be a good bit of prize money for this. Why they're all attempting to do this show. I think the following week they have Dallas as well. Yeah, and it's going to be the top 5. They're going to be hard to pick from the names that we've got so far. And I guarantee 1 or 2 or even 3 more will probably come in before the week before it's announced. And I hope we get a lineup more than a week before.
Yeah.
Like you say, that needs to be changed, and hopefully, because there was nearly every bodybuilding forum were talking about it. So I mean, this probably hasn't gone unnoticed, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I just going to go back here now, Craig, to the reason why these guys are jumping into this Pro Bodybuilding Weekly Championships in Florida. As far as I can see, well, I'm telling you right now, actually, the money is exactly the same for this show as it is for the yesterday's show, the Wings of Strength. It's 20 grand total prize money. So the overall winner will probably get 10 grand, and then it goes down to 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1 for second, third, fourth, fifth. Second, third, fourth, and fifth place. However, the following week you do have the Dallas, Texas, the IFBB Europa Super Show. Again, the prize money there is the same. However, that show typically has a good lineup. So as far as I can see, they're jumping into the Tampa, Florida show because they don't want to have to try and compete with some of the better names in Dallas. Now, basically what's happening there is you're having half the good guys in one show and half the good guys in the other show. So for the fans, it's a plus as far as I'm concerned. And for the pros, it gives them a second chance. So if it doesn't go well on Saturday in Florida, sign me up for Dallas. I'm coming there to try and compete and win a qualifying spot for the Olympia. Because after that, I mean, you've got Finland, and that's it. You know? There's a Phoenix Pro, but they don't actually have any men's bodybuilding in it this year, so it kind of doesn't matter. But it's, as far as I can see, it's going to have a good... Actually, hang on now 1 second.
And Ed known as that bodybuilder's name who's entering it.
I am actually, Craig, looking here at the Phoenix Pro. Apparently, on their website right now, apparently there is going to be a Phoenix Pro show this year. Initially, there wasn't one going to be there, but it's advertised now.
And the same weekend, we have Bros versus Bros. Same weekend in a gym in Phoenix. The next day. So, you'll be busy again, Colin.
I think the Bros versus Bros is on in October, Craig.
It's on in Phoenix, and it's the day after the show. I'm nearly 100% correct on that now.
Is it? Yeah.
Don't be, but I'm nearly 100% correct.
Yeah, I actually thought that was separate now. Ed and Betty Pariso are putting that on, which I was convinced that was going to be in October. But again, we'll check and we'll get back on about it. But as it stands right now, there is an IFBB Phoenix Pro show, which is going to be no more than 10-minute drive for me to get there, so I will be on site. We'll get some pictures up online as it happens. If I can get an internet connection, I'll also do a play-by-play for us so that we can have it coming through the Facebook page. So facebook.com/Your Physique Radio for as much coverage as you can find on the Phoenix Pro Show come September 1st here in Phoenix, Arizona. Craig, other than that, you know, the next couple of weeks there's nothing really happening in the bodybuilding world. We'll see some more pictures and some names jump into different shows, but you know, as it stands, that's all we know for the next show, which is on August 8th and 9th in Tampa, Florida. So let's move away from the competition coverage and get into our topic of the week.
Yep.
So this weekend, guys, our topic of the week is going to be cardio do's and don'ts. So the do's and don'ts will relate to different types of cardio and the different types of cardio you should do then depending on what you're trying to achieve as well. So Craig, what topics are you going to bring up in this, and you know, what's the approach and what's the reasons behind them?
Alright, so I'll shoot off some bits and pieces there now, guys, right? Well, for me, cardio is such a huge part of the bodybuilding game. Some like HIIT training, which is high intensity interval training, some like steady state cardio, some like running, and some even claim to not do cardio at all to get in shape. So that's a different thing altogether. But for me, I like to do steady state cardio on a step mill or an incline treadmill. So probably getting up a sweat, alright, but I'm not running, which is not taxing on my joints. And the step mill is actually it's tough, but it's great for the lower body as far as I know. Anyway, that's why I do it anyway. You do spend longer on steady state cardio, which, I mean, listen, no one likes cardio, so spending longer at it is something probably you don't want to do. But for me, it helps me target fat while keeping my hand gain muscle. For me, it is hard to gain muscle, so every ounce of it I want to keep. You know, I don't want to waste it away running or whatever. Cardio is specific to the person as well, guys. If the person wants to lose weight on a scale, say they want to go from 250 pounds to 200 pounds in the fastest time possible, then I would say, you know what, go balls out on the treadmill, go as much as possible. burn the most amount of calories as possible on the treadmill or the cross trainer or whatever your choice of cardio machine may be. Because the amount of calories burned compared to steady state cardio, will be a lot more. Now with this approach, 99% of the time the person is going to lose a lot of muscle as well. And I say 99 and not 100 because it's very, very rare. You will see someone that runs at a very, very high intensity but yet seems to keep their muscle. And I had a client during the week actually who was very overweight, and we were after he's got down maybe 4 stone, so that's about 60 pounds.
Almost,
about 55 pounds, is it?
Yep.
Yeah, thereabouts. So he's done very well, and he's been trying to build muscle now for the last 6 months. So he's kind of keeping his weight even, but no, he just wants to get a little leaner coming into the summer. When I say summer in Ireland, guys, it's just a warmer rain. But so he's trying to get a bit leaner. So I gave him a program, and I wanted him to keep it lower intensity cardio for about 45 minutes, whatever. But he kind of didn't listen to me, and he was running away because he found it boring. So like the client is kind of always right, like the customer is always right. I told him it's not going to work, and you know what? To my surprise, he came back to me. His lean body mass had gone up, his body fat levels had gone down. So everything that I thought was right kind of flew in the face of that. But he's won, guys, in 1,000. I guarantee you that, because I've done it 100 times with everyone else, and I was right. This time I wasn't. But I think it's just his genetics. That's why I'm going to say 99% of the time you're going to lose a lot of muscle with that type of cardio.
Yeah, I'll just jump in on that, Craig. I do agree that for the most part, initially if I'm trying to get somebody to lose weight, so this is weight loss based, I would also encourage steady state cardio just because it's less taxing on the body. You are, in my opinion anyway, more likely to burn body fat as your source of fuel, pending what you've eaten throughout the day and what time. But yeah, there is, like you said, there is the rare occasion where somebody can maintain muscle mass or even increase while doing high intensity training or interval training and still drop body fat. So very rare, but more often than not, people will stick to the program longer if it's steady state cardio, lower intensity versus high intensity interval training or high intensity training period.
Yeah. I mean, if a person wants to keep as much toned muscle as possible, then they should, in my opinion, do steady state cardio or intervals, depending on the person. Now, this may take longer, but in my opinion, it's more effective. When I say longer, I'm talking weeks, because as we all bodybuilders know, we give ourselves anything from 10 to 16 weeks prep for a show, and you'll never see a big bodybuilder. You'll never see him out running the roads, doing kettlebells, sprinting on tracks, this kind of thing, And I don't think it's a coincidence either that bodybuilders are the best people to ask on how to lose fat, because they're the masters at it. Yeah, well, I say that, no, I'm not bragging, bodybuilders are the best in the world at everything, blah, blah, blah. I'm saying a bodybuilder can manipulate his body to go from 15-18% body fat to 4 in a given time, and pretty much you can say 90% of the time he'll achieve it. That's why I'm saying, if you're wondering, if you're not a bodybuilder or you're wondering, I need to lose a bit of body fat or this or that, you know what, you can ask someone who's lost weight before, that's fair enough. But if there's a bodybuilder nearby and you've seen him, he's done competitions, I guarantee he'd probably get you in the right direction. Preferably a personal trainer who's a bodybuilder, because he has the actual know-how in his head as well, with diet and everything, so that's, anyway. High intensity interval training, guys, which is HIIT, which I mentioned and Colin mentioned a while ago, is cardio performed at such an intense level that the body will spend the rest of the day expending energy trying to recover from it. And this is commonly referred to as EPOC, guys. It's excess post-exercise oxygen consumption. And it means that you consume a great deal more oxygen recovering from the exercise bout than you would have if you've just done steady state cardio. This also helps if you are caught with time constraints. So if you're caught, I need to do 20 minutes in the gym rather than 45 minutes, which you don't have, say, a lunch break or for whatever reason, then the high intensity intervals are good. Now, what we'll finish with here, as far as cardio goes, guys, there's a lot of types of cardio out there, like we just mentioned. But the first thing to consider is what your goal is. You know, is it fat loss? Is it, you know, whatever it is. And how much time can you spend on cardio? This is kind of getting into the high intensity thing again. Can you give 45 minutes first thing in the morning on an empty stomach? Can you do it? If so, brilliant. If not, then you know, whatever it is. And what type of body type are you? This is very important, I think. Like your ectomorph, which is a naturally thin person, an endomorph, which is a naturally big person, or a mesomorph, which is kind of in the middle of both. Now, a naturally thin person will be suited to distance running because of the muscle fibers in his body, or her body. And then high intensity, he'll be better suited to high intensity cardio, so running for a long distance, you know, 5 miles, 10 miles, whatever it may be. You know, whereas a big person, you know, your endomorph will be more suited to like steady state or intervals. Do you know what I mean? So because, you know, he's obviously very, very big naturally, that's his size, so steady state would be better. And plus, because he's bigger, he's going to burn a lot more calories because of his size. And the intervals, and a mesomorph can usually choose whatever one he does for whatever his goal may be, you know. So that's pretty much my take on cardio and how I see it. Anything you'd like to add there, Colin, or
basically,
would you like to argue with anything?
There's a few things. Basically, I'm just going to preface this with, you know, this cardio, what we're talking about right now initially, is based upon weight loss. Alright, so fitness is one thing, and I'm going to cover that in a moment, but right now I'm talking about weight loss. And to be very honest, I personally think the cardio is overrated when it comes to weight loss. It's very hard to out-train a bad diet. In fact, most people will never be able to do that. So, if your diet is wrong, get that in check first. Technically, you should be able to lose all the weight that you want via just cutting calories on paper. Now, in reality, that's different because your metabolism will slow down as you begin to eat less and your body gets used to that. So it becomes more efficient at using the calories that you do eat. To me, once your metabolism slows down from dieting alone, that's the time I would recommend introducing cardio. Now, if that means you're doing it after 2 weeks of your diet, then fine. Or if you're doing it after 12 weeks in, then there you go. But to me, the cardio should be used as stage 2. It's kickstart metabolism by doing a couple of sessions a week. Once those couple of sessions cease to get you the results that you require, an extra session up until you're doing maybe 5-6 days at the most, 45 minutes at the most of steady state cardio. So we're talking about low to mid intensity percentage of your heart rate. And when we talk about your heart rate, it's basically judged upon your age versus a number. So the simple estimate or the simple calculation would be 220 minus your age. So if you're a 40-year-old male or female, take 40 from 220, and it's estimated that if you reach 180 beats per minute, that's as high as you can go. Alright? So then you take you take a percentage of that. So if 180 equals 100%, I would say work around the 60% mark of 180. So figure that out for yourselves at home. But to me, that's slow, steady state cardio. It's for a metabolic boost. To me, it's not for burning calories as such as it is to increase the hormone levels so that they begin to do their job again. Now, when it comes time for a change, once your diet is in check and your cardio at 4, 5, 6 days a week isn't working on slow, steady state, then personally I would say, right, let's have one session of high intensity interval training and let's see if that can spark a bit of a kick in your metabolism again. And more often than not, probably 9 times out of 10, that's all it needs. It needs one session of high intensity interval training here and there, as opposed to 5-6 days a week, which if you're trying to build muscle or maintain muscle, is not going to be the right thing to do as far as I'm concerned. Plus, like Craig said, if you're a big bodybuilder, let's say you're 225 or above, and you're running on that body weight for high intensity training, your joints are going to not thank you for that. Your knees are going to be destroyed, your hips are going to have issues, your ankles are going to have issues, and your heart rate's going to go so high that you probably won't last very long anyway. So steady state would be the way to go. But again, going back, diet is first if it's weight loss. Slow intensity cardio should give you that kick. Once that stops working out, introduce some high intensity interval training, maybe once or twice a week at most, just again to throw a spark into the fire and let things ignite once again. But this is all weight loss based. Now if we look at fitness, Craig, when it comes to fitness, what do you think is the best type of training towards getting fitter faster?
And definitely, for me anyway, and what I've done would definitely be intervals, high intensity intervals, are very good for fitness.
Yeah.
Very, very good. Good bursts of pace. If you're using a treadmill as well, I'd always have it on an incline of maybe minimum of 2%. Because especially if someone comes in and you want them to be fit, it's probably either for some sort of sport, like a field sport or maybe track or whatever. So, I mean, if they can get used to running at a 2, 3, 4% incline, when they get onto a flat surface, it'll feel like this is too easy. You know, I can run away, and I've got some good results from that. So what would you think?
Just to talk about what you just mentioned, that incline, there has been many studies actually to show that if you're running on a treadmill versus running on the ground, the point of impact is going to be much different. So running outside will be more taxing than running on a treadmill. So by inclining the treadmill to, like you said, 1.5 or 2%, apparently, according to the results at least, that will equal the same impact as you would generate if you're running on a hard surface outside. So as much as you might not feel there is definitely a spring in a treadmill which will take some of the shock. So if you want to replicate outdoor running, go to 1.5, go to 2 degrees on the incline, and as far as you're concerned, that's a flat surface. Forget about anything else. From there, if you want to go up a couple of degrees, then fine, go up to 4, and technically you're at 2 in terms of the impact that the body will create. The worst thing you can do, as far as I'm concerned, if you're training for a long distance event, let's say you're running your first marathon and you've gone up to say 19 or 20 miles in training, but it's been on a treadmill, 26 miles on the concrete is going to kill your knees. I don't care how much adrenaline is flowing, your knees are going to be destroyed and your ankles are going to be destroyed. You might not get injured to the point where you can't run, but believe me, you're going to do some damage there for sure.
Distance, that'll be massive, like.
Absolutely. So just to say on that, if you are going to run outdoors for a race, make sure you get some practice in outdoors as well. The treadmill is great, it keeps you off the rain, it stats your tracks or your progress and tracks your A to B in terms of time, distance, heart rate much more efficiently, but it's definitely not the same thing as running on a hard surface outside. So I would definitely encourage both. If you're going to run a long distance, run some time outside on the pavement before you go and do the actual race itself. But yeah, Craig, I would also agree in terms of improved fitness. If it's for a field sport or something like that, I do like a combination of some training days to be just steady state cardio or you're running at a consistent pace or a consistent heart rate, but definitely interval training for me is the one that pushes most people beyond. The same when it comes to the weight loss. Steady state will get you so far, but eventually you might need a couple of interval sessions there to boost you up. The same comes with fitness. So definitely interval training to me is the biggest factor. And if you haven't done it before, expect to be tired, expect to be fatigued. Your sessions should be shorter by definition because you're going to do effectively more work in a shorter period of time, but it is taxing, and once it's done, just hydrate and put back in the nutrition that you've lost, just as you would if it was a weight training session, because your muscle is still working hard, guys. So don't expect to get away with not adding protein to your diet just because you're a runner or because you play field sports. You still need it. Your muscle is what drives you forwards from point A to point B. You need to fuel that muscle, and the only thing that can do that is protein. So increase the protein amounts that you currently use, unless you really know what you're already doing.
Like you said there now, and it was something I touched on, and so did you actually, about for whatever sport, say a field sport or being sport specific. Now, if you look at football, rugby, soccer, American football, whatever your sport, basketball, you have to mimic what you do on the court, on the field, whatever it is. Now, if you can run for 15 miles or jog for 15 miles on the treadmill, that's fantastic, well done to you. But you're not going to be jogging on a constant basis on a field. You're going to be stopping and starting. So you have to try and mimic that as good as possible inside in the gym. And like Colin said, you have to get out either on the field or on the road or whatever, because the gyms are fantastic and they're good and they get you to where you need to be. But as far as depending on the gym and then going out doing the run, forget about it. And one more thing actually, and you mentioned it, Colin, about diet. and I know you've seen this because I've seen you see this. Like, but people think you said you can't outtrain that diet. That is so true. The people come into me and they've eaten this, that, and that, thinking, oh yeah, well I was training yesterday, so I can. It's like, what? That doesn't make any sense. That you can go away to McDonald's, you can eat apple pie because you spend 3/4 of an hour in the gym. I mean, that makes no sense. I mean, sometimes I have to wonder with people is, what are they thinking? I mean, you've seen this, Colin. Like, I mean, I don't understand it. Like, I honest to God, I mean, I can't see how a person can rationally kind of go, oh yeah, this makes sense. And a Mars bar is 200 calories, and I burn 400, so I can have 2 Mars bars and I'm okay.
You know, Craig, I think part of that is it's deliberately not educating oneself so that they can rationalise eating a Mars. Like you said, if it's 400 calories in a Mars bar and they burn off 400 on the treadmill, oh well, you know, that's fine. And that's the way some people are. And look, I'd prefer to see somebody going to the gym to train, do whatever they want, and eat badly than to not go to the gym at all. Fine, but in reality, your results are going to be very slim to none if you're cancelling out what you've done in the gym by counting the calories on your Mars bar to make sure that you're allowed to have a Mars bar.
Yeah, good point.
It's definitely something I have seen. You're dead right, and I know a few people who still do that, and they'll do their Weight Watchers system, and they'll save their points on the weekend for alcohol, and like that kind of defeats the whole purpose in the first place. But you know, people will do what they're going to do, and unless they want to make that change, it's very, very hard to influence them. They have to make that decision for themselves. So, other than that, I mean, there's not much you can do. You can show them the pros and cons, but if they don't want to do what you're asking them or don't want to do what you're recommending, apart from chaining them up and making them do it like a dog, it's not going to happen. But Craig, I would like to say that going back there, you said about weight loss you said about fitness training should be specific, so sport specific training. I couldn't agree more. Over the last couple of years, I've actually started to train people very, very specifically in what I call Fsp training, so flexibility, speed and power. And the idea is that every sport or every activity that you participate in, you need to have some requirement of flexibility involved. There's no question, no matter what it is. Even if you're playing snooker, you still want to be able to lean over the table and allow your hamstrings not to get tight and pulled. So no matter what you're doing, you need some form of flexibility. So that'll be the first component. Outside of that, then you've got S for speed. So every single sport that's involved, mostly if there's field sports, of course, you're going to need some component of speed to get from point A to point B and back again. But again, like you said, it has to be specific. So if you're practicing drills for Gaelic football without the football, fine, you might be able to run fast from A to B without a ball, but once you have the ball, can you still maintain that same speed? So it would be developing speed while holding the ball or practicing your solo or your dribble, whatever it is if you're playing soccer. And then the power aspect comes, as far as I'm concerned, in the weight room. Again, no matter what your sport is, I'm 100% convinced that it can be benefited from being stronger, no matter what it is. If you're playing tiddlywinks, you're playing chess, I don't care. Whatever your sport is, you can benefit from being stronger. So that's where your power training comes in. So the basic compound movements, at least as a bare minimum, possibly the Olympic lifts as well. So you're talking snatch, power cleans, clean and jerk, deadlift, squat, bench press. And outside of that then, if we're looking at lat pull downs and shoulder presses, fine. But no matter what sport you're playing, I don't care, you need some component of flexibility. Most probably need some component of speed, and your power is absolutely not going to hinder your progress in any way whatsoever. Most likely it's going to develop your potential. But definitely train specific to your sports, guys. If you're a long distance runner, you better be training long distances. If you're a soccer player, you may have a ball at your feet most of the time, otherwise what's the point?
Guys, if you can take anything away from this show or the other 6 previous shows, what Colin just said, guys, is so important. I mean, case in point, yesterday in the women's Wimbledon final, you look at that Polish girl, I can't remember her name, Radwanska, I think her name was, probably a better tennis player. She's higher ranked and everything than Serena Williams. But Serena's power, it was ace after ace. she just like she couldn't hack it, and that's exactly how power won her a Wimbledon championship. And that was the difference. They're probably evenly matched when it comes to their ability to play tennis. One's powerful, one's not so powerful. You know, it's not the fact that it's not a coincidence that the most powerful won. And like Colin said, it will never, ever hinder you. Ever. The more muscles you have will never hinder you. Didn't Cameron do a 100-meter sprint one time just to prove that bodybuilders can actually move? And he was it Dwayne Chambers he raced, Colin?
It was Dwayne Chambers, yeah.
You know, and he gave him a good run. I think it was over 60 metres, I think. And he gave him a good run. Obviously, Dwayne Chambers being the world champion at the time, came out on top. But you know what? He was faster than me, Colin, and anyone I can think of. He did bodybuilders really proud that day.
Yeah, I have to say, if you find the video online, it won't look as though Kevin was actually as close as he was because of the angle of the camera. But believe me, the speed this guy is running, and he was at least 240 in this video. I mean, and he's ripped. And to see him standing next to Dwayne Chambers, who was probably 6'2" at 185 pounds, 190 pounds, and you've got Kevin Leroy at 5'8", 5'9", who's sitting at 240 ripped. It was definitely a sight to be seen. Unfortunately, the video quality that you will find online isn't actually very good, which is disappointing because it should be something that should have been showcased to show that, fine, there is a point where a huge excess amount of muscle might slow you down because of the amount of weight that you just have to shift from A to B. But if you're playing a sport which requires contact or physical contact, you know, being inside the standard BMI that the doctors will suggest to be healthy is not going to help you. You need to be above your BMI, presuming it's because of muscle and not body fat. But for sports or athletes, the BMI structure is so out of whack, it's ridiculous. You want to be above 25 BMI, as far as I'm concerned, to be holding enough muscle to take impact in rugby or American football, or even in soccer. I think you should be bigger. You know. Anyways, different topic, different day.
Yeah.
But yeah, other than that, you know, there's not much I really want to say about cardio. If anyone has any questions, shoot them through and we'll give you a more detailed or specific answer for you or for your sport. So be it soccer, Gaelic football, American football, rugby, volleyball, basketball, anything, let us know and we'll help you out.
Yeah, that's what I was going to mention as well, guys. Like, if you don't know your body type, if you want to know what type of cardio to do, give us as much information as possible, and me and Colin will get back to you. We will get back to you with the best answers that we can give you, depending on the information we get. So don't be shy. It's not going to cost you a penny. Come in and ask us. We'll help you out as much as we can.
Exactly. Alright guys, well with that then we're going to move on to our top 5s of the week. Our top 5s this week are brought to you by discountsupplements.ie, with 2 retail stores in Terranure and Clondalkin in Dublin, and also one in Kilcool in County Wicklow. Your Physique Radio listeners will receive a 5% discount and a free shaker bottle on all online orders when they enter the discount code YPR at the checkout. Discountsupplements.ie, Ireland's online premier supplement store. Alright Craig, well this week we're looking at the top 5 bodybuilders who never won the Olympia. It doesn't mean they had to come second or third or fourth, but in our opinion, the physiques that we would have likened to see hold up that Sandow trophy come the end of Saturday night. Craig, give me your top 5 in order if you can.
Alright, coming in at number 5, he's still bodybuilding at the moment, and it's Kai Green. Now, he might win the O at some stage, but just with Physique in front of him, and he's younger than him, and in my eyes probably a little bit better physique, then I can't see him beating a healthy Physique. But you know, Physique could have an injury, and Kai Green could get one Sandow, or maybe even 2, who knows. He needs to bring in his competition for Mr. Olympia Day. That's something he hasn't done yet. He's done it at the Arnold, he hasn't done it at the O. So Kai Green, because he's a fantastic bodybuilder, would be number 5 in my list. Now at number 4, it's a giant. I have a tie at number 4. You see why when I mentioned the names Lee LeBrad and Rich Gaspari, because there are 2 kind of shorter guys who had fantastic physiques, just all the lines in all the right place. It's hard to pick between the 2 of them, and that's why I put in the 2 of them. So I know I'm kind of cheating a little, but you know, that's why I have them there. They should have at least between the 2 of them 1-1. And number 3, I have Sean Ray. I don't think I've ever seen a picture of him competing out of shape. When I was growing up, Sean Ray was a very big name, and I just look at him. I really feel sorry for my top three actually because of who was with him at the time. But Sean Ray is a class bodybuilder, was and is a class bodybuilder. Fantastic physique, so razor sharp. Always, they never got it wrong ever. Maybe the judges got it wrong from time to time when it comes to Sean, but that's a different story again. And number two, we Flex Wheeler. Now he could be even at number one. It's very, very close, but Flex just, when you see some of the pictures from the days in the early 90s, I honest to God, even standing next to Dorian Yates, and this is no disrespect to Dorian, I still think he's beaten him once or twice. That's just my opinion. I think so anyway. And coming in at number one, I have the Maryland Muscle Machine, Kevin Leroy. And it's something that kind of does from my years, as Peter Griffin would say. It's just how he hasn't got a Mr. to his name. The guy was ridiculous when it comes to the amount of muscle he had on his body. Again, he brought it, he was grainy, he was power, he was everything you want in a bodybuilder, and symmetrically almost perfect. And Dorian Yates stood in his way too many times. And again, there's comparisons. That was it 97 or 98, I think. One of them years, or was it 2001? No, 97, I think. It was one of them years. And they were in the top two. They were 1 and 2 in the Olympia. And I mean, when you look at it, it's ridiculous. Everything points at Kevin Leroy for the win, but the fact that Dorian was Leroy at the time won him that's the only reason I can think of. I don't know. Maybe it was high and they gave it to the existing champion. Something we'll never know, maybe, but Kevin Leroy for me, the greatest bodybuilder to never lift the standout trophy for me. What you got?
Well, Craig, my top five then, I'm going to go with Mohammed Makai, who in 1982, I believe it was, came in 7th place in his very first Mr. Olympia. Then the following 2 years, he takes 2nd place behind Samir Banu in 1983 and Lee Haney in 1984. We all know what happened once Lee Haney came onto the scene. For the next 8 years, he just won the Mr. Olympia, and that basically ended anyone else's chances. But Mohammed Makai, his physique was just really, really, really pleasing. There was nothing wrong with it. He just wasn't the biggest guy. He's kind of a Sean Ray, and the fact that he seemed to be overpowered by the more muscular men. But his physique, 100% in condition, always looked pretty sharp, and just was pleasing to look at. So he's my number 5. Number 4 then, I'm going to go with Sean Ray, as you picked him at number 2, I believe. He's my number 4. He placed 2nd numerous times, always getting beaten out. So he was always kind of fighting with Flex Wheeler and Kevin Leroy to kind of take 2nd place behind Dorian Yates. And then Ronnie Coleman came along, and again he took off with it just like Lee Haney had done previously. So Sean Ray, like you said, he's always in shape. He seems like an intelligent person as well. Anything you see online, he speaks very well. He doesn't stutter or stammer over his words. He's very selective about the words he chooses, and you know, I actually do enjoy listening to him speak about bodybuilding because he's very much passionate about it. He's a historian. If you ask him who won the 1969 Mr. Olympia, he'll shoot off the top 6 before you even ask. You know, he's just he really is a what's the word I'm looking for? He's a student
of bodybuilding.
Yeah, he's a student of the sport, we'll call him. Really, really excellent physique. He competed around 202, 206, and was placed in 2nd place to the likes of Dorian Yates. So this guy obviously has one hell of a physique if he's managing to hold his own there on stage with the Mr. Olympia. 3rd place then, I'm going to go with Serge Nubret. Serge, again, he was kind of a Mohammed Makai, Sean Ray type of dude, where he wasn't the biggest man on stage, but he had everything that you could ever ask for in terms of symmetry and balance and just the sheer look. He looked fantastic. He probably looked more athletic, let's say, than Arnold Schwarzenegger or any of those guys, and that probably what took away from him, because there was kind of a sense of, I won't say anybody could achieve it, but by today's standards he's way down the list. But back then he was shredded. His great arms, great chest, his abs were, to me, they were so defined and crazy, it was nuts. And then he had really good separation through his legs, and he was just, his twisting front double was just nuts. I have to say, Serge Nubret, you're up there, and forevermore I'll always remember seeing him. It was a picture, he's standing on the beach, and the sunlight is just going down in the background. I think he's doing a side tricep, and he just looks ridiculous. It's just one of the best pictures I've seen, especially from bodybuilders from the 70s. Second place has to be Kevin Levrone. He's just, like you said, Craig, the size and the condition, and the fact that he was still athletic, as we mentioned earlier, racing against Dwayne Chambers. He definitely talked a lot. I don't know if he genuinely believed a lot of what he talked about or not, but he would go from 215, 220 off-season weight up to 235, 240, 245 in Mr. Olympia condition shape in a space of 3 or 4 months. His genetics just responded like crazy, and we're also hoping that the same thing will happen true for Victor Martinez, who we'll come back to in a few moments, coming this year's Olympia. But Kevin Levrone, just nuts, strong guy too. I mean, you see him incline benching crazy numbers, dumbbell curls. There's one notorious video of him doing dumbbell curls with 100-pound dumbbells, and he takes about 7 attempts to get his sentence out, but eventually he gets his point across. But if you haven't seen him, search Kevin Levrone 100-pound dumbbells in your face on YouTube, and you'll see what I'm talking about. But again, physique wise, unbelievable. I remember one video from him from the 1998 British Grand Prix, where he leans forwards and shakes out his shoulders, and just the thickness from his chest to his back was just nuts. And anyone can say whatever they like about the contrast to the video, making it look like guys are in better condition. Fine, but they weren't bigger than they look. They look as big as they were. And Kevin Levrone, that lineup was nuts. You had Kevin Levrone, Ronnie Coleman standing next to each other, Flex Wheeler. It was just ridiculous. And that was just after Ronnie had won his first Olympia. So, it was all on the line to see if he could hold true for the European Grand Prix. But sure enough, Ronnie did. Kevin fell short, Flex fell short, and Ronnie again went on to win 8 Olympias. So again, a big reign there. But my number one has to be Flex Wheeler. My number one bodybuilder to never win the Olympia. Just sheer silhouette, shoulders, narrow waist, great sweep to his legs, great hamstrings. His conditioning, to me, he's just phenomenal. If he won the Olympia, I don't know if he would have been the best person or the best bodybuilder ever to have won the Olympia, but he's definitely the best to have never won the Olympia. He, again, you hear him talking about this and that, and he knows, again, the very good history about the sport, the winners and the losers, and again, he is another guy who's made up some crazy stories about not competing. One involved ninjas, but look, it is what it is. His physique spoke for itself. He was just phenomenal. I definitely think he deserved 1 or 2 wins in which he came second, but he was a 4-time Arnold Classic champion, I believe, or at least 3. But again, that's not the Olympia, so unlucky. But Flex Wheeler comes in at number 1, which is probably bittersweet for him, because he never won, but he got so close so many times, and he is definitely spoken as one of the best bodybuilders in all-time history, especially never to win the Olympia. So that's my top 5: Mohammed Makai, Sean Ray, Serge Nubret, Kevin Levrone, and Flex Wheeler. Craig, I can't argue with your list. I don't think you could argue with mine. If any of our listeners are not aware of all of the names we're talking about, because we might have some younger generation guys out there, do go online and search these names, and you'll be able to understand why we do have them on our list ourselves. Craig, I did actually ask one of our previous guests what his top 5 would have been, and he got back to me nice and promptly. So Ian Chambers, thank you very much for your list. And on Ian's list, for those of you who haven't listened in, go back to episode number 5. There's an interview with Ian, who is Massoum Butts, diet and nutrition and contest coach. And Ian got in touch and he said his top 5 to never win the Olympia: Lee Labrada, Flex Wheeler, Kevin Levrone, Sean Ray, Tom Platz, and he also threw in another spanner into the works here, and he says Flex Lewis from the 2011 Mr. Olympia, which was the 202. Now, he definitely should have won that show, I think. However, you don't get crowned Mr. Olympia 202. You're your Olympia Showdown champion. So on a technicality, Ian, we're going to delete Flex Lewis from your list. Definitely Lee Labrada, Flex Wheeler, Kevin Leroy, Tom Platz, Sean Ray. I can't argue with very many. Tom Platz, I mean, that guy's legs were just out of this world. I mean, they would stand up to the standard of today's guys, no problem whatsoever. And the separation through his quads, and absolutely, he's definitely one I didn't think of, and probably wouldn't have added just because his legs are so overpowering to his upper body. But again, he was kind of like a Sean Ray at the time, where he lived the whole bodybuilding lifestyle. You know, it was a business to him, and he was a true California kid, the blonde hair, and well spoken, well educated, really into the psychological part of it. So a good list there from Ian. So Ian, thanks very much for giving us some input on your top 5 to never have won the Mr. Olympia. Alright.
I would absolutely love for Sean Ray, Flex Wheeler, Kevin Lebrun, who are the three of our lists, right? Mm-hmm. So the 3 people that you, me, Ian, we all gave a list, and the 3 common denominators are Sean, Flex, and Kevin.
Yeah.
Now, there's a Masters Olympia this year, next year. I would absolutely. Wouldn't it be the best thing in the world for the 3 of them to compete against each other?
Well,
and officially get a Mr. Olympia title. It's not going to be that Mr. Olympia, but it's going to be a Masters Olympia. It's better than nothing. Now the 3 of them are still in their 40s.
Yeah.
You know, in fairness, they could still do it. You know, they might look like they did in 2001 or in 1994, but they could still do it.
Yeah, well, you see, the thing is with that is, you know, I would forever, as much as I wouldn't want to, I'd forever remember them as their last performance. You know, you're only as good as your last showing. And that same thing happened with Ronnie Coleman. My image now of Ronnie is of him out of shape doing guest posing spots, or when he placed 4th at the Olympia last time. And, you know, that's not what I want to see. And I definitely don't think that Sean Ray, Flex Wheeler, or Levroni want to be seen as... Well, Levroni is a different story. We'll come back to him, but Sean Ray or Flex Wheeler definitely don't want to be seen as out of shape and on stage and kind of old men, I don't think, because they definitely do have a big place in this sport. Hall of Famers, if I'm not correct, or sorry, if I'm correct, I believe they are currently in the Hall of Fame, the IFBB Hall of Fame, and they deserve to be there. I think coming out of retirement and doing a Masters show, as much as the fans would like to see it, I don't think it would do their longevity or their history in the sport any good.
Yeah, I kind of agree in one way, but another way I kind of look at it from a different point of view. These guys, Sean, Flex, and Kevin, always had their condition right. Now, they're not going to be as good as they were 15, 20 years ago. That's just not going to happen. They know that. So to me, it's still an even playing field for the 3 of them. You know, there's plenty of stuff out there they can take to start getting bigger again and so on and so forth. Yeah. But I do think they wouldn't enter the show if they didn't think they could get in good shape. But if the 3 of them got together and go, if you do it, I'll do it. If I do it, you do it, blah, 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 and we'll see who comes in the best. Yeah. I know it's probably fantasy land from what I'm thinking, but oh my God, I would actually watch that before I watched the Mr. Olympia. That's a fact. I would prefer to see the 3 of them square off against each other.
Well, you see, if you look at their age, I mean, to me the age isn't a number, because you've got the likes of Vince Taylor, who was 50 and he's competing against the guys who are in their mid and late 30s, and doing very well at that. And then you've got guys who are in their 40s like Troy Alves and Bill Wilmore's up in there. Tony Freeman's in his 40s. You've got
they call him 46, 45?
Maybe a little bit younger. Darren Charles is in there as well also. Darren Charles is actually a grandfather. Or sorry, Troy Alves is actually a grandfather. So, you know, these guys...
Charles is entering NPC shows. I think he's 17 or 18. So that's no joke.
So I wouldn't put age down as the factor. But if you look at Flex Wheeler, didn't he have a kidney transplant a couple of years back?
Did he?
Yeah, I think he did. And that might stop him from wanting to do what he might have to do to be on stage in the shape he wants to be in.
That's a legitimate excuse. I mean, like I said, I'm only in fantasy land, but if anyone could make this happen, it would just be the biggest hype in modern bodybuilding, I think, anyway.
Yeah.
Because I mean, seriously, John, if you got an email from a promoter in the morning saying, yeah, we've got Sean Ray, Flex Wheeler and Kevin Leroy squaring off against each other for the first time in 20 years, if they could come in with their pants on and we'd still watch it.
Well, you know what it would do actually in terms of generating some money? If I think most of those guys, if not all, are somehow involved with MD, they could at least use that to post up their progress towards the show in training videos. And who wouldn't want to watch Sean Ray and Flex Wheeler start to train and drop weight and start to get bigger again? And I guarantee the MD numbers would rise like nothing else in the world. You know, they'd really go up in terms of what they could charge for advertising. The content that they're giving out to us obviously is the big turnover. The more we like, the more we go back, and the more we go back, the more the advertisers are going to invest. So on their point, it might be a nice idea in terms of making some money, but for their career and competition history, I think it would be just a mistake as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, well, like you just said it there. If you see like Sean Ray getting ready for the Masters, you know, day one, and same with Kevin Leroy, same with Flex Wheeler, oh my God, I wouldn't miss them videos for love nor money.
Yeah.
I would so glued to that, like.
Yeah.
It's so good, you know. Oh, and maybe if you had to subscribe to MD, not at cost, but you know, you had to be a member or something or whatever to watch it, get more people in. I just think it's a win-win situation. I know what you're saying is a very valid point. You don't want someone to come in, look awful, and remember them as that.
Yeah.
But just because it's them three people, you mentioned Ronnie Coleman. No, I totally agree with you. I seen Ronnie in Limerick that time, and it's like, you know, they say never meet your heroes and all that kind of stuff. I kind of looked at him and went, oh no, oh God, no. You know, he was huge, so big, so strong, so much muscle, but he didn't look like a bodybuilder to me, like, you know what I mean? But I think with Sean, Flex and Kevin, because of the way they train, they would come in shape. Whether it took them a year or 2 years, I just think they would. I honestly do think they would. You know?
Yeah, there was definitely no work ethic issue when it came to Kevin Leroy or Sean Ray, but there was some thoughts towards Flex Wheeler, who, you know, he could have been better had he got the drive of someone else. Now, look how good he was with what some people say wasn't the best motivation or the best work ethic, but if he did put in, say, Dorian Yates style or Ronnie Coleman type training into his routine in terms of intensity, you know, I think Flex Wheeler would have been just unbeatable, absolutely unbeatable. But again, that's hearsay. Maybe he did put in the effort and we're just told different. But if he didn't, and then if he did, you know, he would never have been beaten as long as he wanted, I don't think. But look, again, I don't think it's going to happen. It's on in December, I believe, in Miami, Florida. It's definitely not this year, maybe next year, but then again, we're another 12 months further down the line. They're 12 months more out of shape than they are now. It's less likely, but I do like the idea, and you're damn right, if it was on MD, or if it was viewed or live or whatever it was, I'd definitely try and get there. I'd even try and fly over to Miami to actually watch the event itself, because it is one to watch. So I'd be it would be exciting, but I definitely don't see it ever happening, unfortunately.
And to our listeners, if there's anyone you think would, you know, or if you want to give us your top 5, you know, let us know on Facebook, guys, or email us. Let us know, because I'm sure there's a few guys who probably, you know, there's like Chris Cormier. There's plenty out there that were maybe should have into that type. So let us know.
Yeah. Just going back here, Craig, about earlier on, we were talking about competitions that are coming up, and we spoke about the Phoenix Pro and the Europa Expo, which is going to have Bros versus Pros 12, I think, or 13. Yeah. From RX Muscle. The Europa Expo is on in October, and the Phoenix Pro Bodybuilding Show is September, so they're completely different events. September 1st for the bodybuilding show, the Europa Expo, which won't have any bodybuilding, it's more of a, as it suggests, it's an expo, so you've got grappling, you've got karate, judo, arm wrestling competitions, powerlifting, strongmen, bros versus pros is in there as well, as you said, but it's a completely unrelated event, different promoters as well, so it'll be interesting to see how the Phoenix Pro goes without the Expo on the same weekend.
Yeah.
But they are definitely two different events, yeah. So, but I'm going to attend both of them. Absolutely, I will be there for both. I was in touch, or you were, and I was in touch with Ed and Betty Pariso in terms of getting a press pass for the Europa Expo, which is on October. So we'll hopefully get that and have a little bit more access to the backstage, so we can get up close and personal with the athletes themselves and get some interviews and post them up on the actual radio show and on Facebook and on YouTube and on iTunes. So do look forward to that. I'm definitely looking forward to it, as I will get to attend and be a part of the events myself. Alright, well Craig, let's move on now to our Q&A segment. This segment is brought to you by Body Benefit Health and Fitness. For more information, visit Body Benefit Health and Fitness on Facebook. Body Benefit Health and Fitness, making fitness fun. Craig, you've got a question from Paul in Keele in County Kerry. Read it out there and give us your answer.
Yeah, so Paul asks, guys, pretty simple, straightforward question. How important is a training partner, and can it be done alone? Now, this is a great question. I get into two sides of it, right? Because I've been in two sides of it. I think a good training partner can be of huge benefit, because they can push you to your limit. They can offer advice when needed. You could go for your 1 rep max, your next heaviest weight, your one more rep, whatever it may be, without worrying, because you know they're there to spot you, take the bar, whatever it needs to be. They'll drag your ass to the gym when you're feeling tired. All these kind of things. I had this with Colin, for the best part of 4 years, and without him, guys, I'm not sure I'd be here hosting a bodybuilding radio show. I'm not sure, actually, I am sure I would be here hosting a bodybuilding show. He certainly did all them things for me and more. Now, finding one good training partner, guys, is like finding $1,000 in your pants pocket after a night out. Finding two is like winning the lottery, I think, anyway, because I trained a lot of guys since Colin left, but none who are there day in, day out, none. You need consistency when it comes to a training partner. Now, my brother Tim, fantastic training partner when he's there, unbelievable, pushes and unreal. He always tries to lift heavier than me, and when I see him getting close, I'm always being pushed in to keep getting stronger than him, and so on and so forth, which is great. But unfortunately, Tim misses a lot of days, either through injury, because he's a bit of a bum elbow, and that puts him out then for a lot of days, or to family commitments because his missus is working and whatever, maybe he's got to collect the kids from school, all this kind of thing. But for whatever reason, no, I'll never hold that against him, that's the priority, and so it should be. But like, I trained with Colin for probably the bones of 4 years, and if Colin missed 5 days in 4 years, he missed a lot, guys. And that's what I mean by consistency. It's always there, and they're all positives. Since I've had guys who say they will train with me every day. Say if some guy goes, yeah, I'm off for the next 6 months now from school, or 3 months, or I don't work anymore, whatever, I'm in every day training together, blah, 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 whatever it is. And then 1 week into maybe 2 weeks, and then it's 5 minutes before training time, you get a text, can't make it. Oh my God, it's like the list of excuses. I can't make it because I've got to pick up my sister in town, I've got whatever, just there's a million excuses. But you know what? Colin lived a life just as much as I did, just as much as anyone else does. But it's these things he chooses to do, and that's the difference between a good training partner and not. And it's grand. For me, like, if I want to go really heavy on that day and I get a text 5 minutes before I'm supposed to start training, say I'm training at 4 o'clock, 5 to 4 I get a text, can't make it, see you tomorrow. I mean, that's fine for this guy. But for me, it's not. I could have been thinking, right, we're going heavy squatting today, heavy benching today, heavy military pressing today, whatever it is. That's all out the window now. That's in my head all day. I'm thinking about it, going back to the show, like show number 2, when we were talking about using your mind. I'm thinking about this for like 8 hours. I'm leading up to it, can't wait to do it. And then 5 minutes before showdown, I can't come. And I can't do all these things without a good training partner. You probably can, but there's a very high risk of getting hurt too, which isn't, you've got to train smart too. Now, that has wrecked my whole session, even though it was just a small little text. It's probably wrecked the session for whatever reason. I might still go and have a good workout, but that was what I intended to do. Now, I don't care if this guy never changes his physique. To be honest, I want him to change, but if he doesn't, I don't care, whatever. And he can say all this shit, but he can't go through. It's no good to me. But for every one Colin you find, guys, right, which is a fantastic training partner, you're going to find about 999 of the other guy. I promise you that. So I want to kind of leave you with, you better learn to self-motivate. Self-motivate your mind, because it'll be your best training partner you will ever need. That's where I kind of leave it with Paul. If you have any more, send me in. Colin, how would you answer that question?
I'd say that if you can find a good one who is consistent and is there to push you, they don't necessarily have to be as strong as you, but if they can encourage you to lift more and correct you in the right technique and motivate you and push you past what you normally can do on your own, then absolutely. And going back to you, that's what we had. We'd both show up. It'd be 6 o'clock in the evening, Monday through Friday, without fail. And we'd know what we're doing. We'd have talked about it at lunchtime in terms of exercises, or we definitely have a really good understanding of when a person needs the help, when they need to be stepped away from, if they need a finger underneath the bar just to give them the motivation, or even if you touch that bar, they're going to get pissed off and it's going to ruin their set because they didn't want that help at that time. So it takes a lot of learning, definitely, but if you can find the right one, a training partner is the best thing as far as I'm concerned. However, when it comes time to step away and train on your own, if your schedule changes or if their schedule changes, you need to be able to self-motivate, as Craig said. At the moment, I haven't trained with anyone in years because my schedule is just so out of whack. I could be in the gym at 1 o'clock in the daytime, 4 o'clock in the daytime, 6 o'clock or 9 o'clock in the evening. Every day is different for me depending on how my work day goes. So just putting a shout out, if there's anyone out there who doesn't have a job and is ready to train at the drop of a hat's notice, send me a message if you're in the Phoenix area, because I've got 3 different gyms that I can train at. So let me know and we might be able to work something out. But as it stands, I have to self-motivate, and if you can't self-motivate, you need to learn how, because eventually your training partner is not going to be there and your results are going to fail. Forget theirs. If they didn't show up, that's deserved, but yours shouldn't suffer because they didn't make it on time or because they didn't make the session. So if you find a partner, hang on to them, male or female, I don't care, as long as they know what they're doing and as long as they can motivate and push you, and you can do the same for them. But if you can't, learn how to do it for yourself. There's ways around not having a spotter. You might have to use a Smith machine, or you might have to rest the bar on the safety racks when you're done at the bottom of the movement. Whatever it is. But if you can find one, keep them. If you can't, self-motivate. There's no excuse not to be able to train hard. There's just different ways about achieving it. Craig, that's all I really have to say. But like Craig said, Paul, if you have any more questions or any comments about that, if anyone else has any comments about good or bad training partners in the past, be it a funny story or a good story, let us know. And you can get in touch with us via our contact info, which you will hear just in a moment. But for now, Craig, that's pretty much our show wrapping up. Next week, guys, we're going to be we're going to go over any updates that we will have for the PBW show in August in Miami. We're planning to have an interview with an IFBB judge for you for next week's show as well. All going well, that will be on air for you next Monday evening. Our topic of the week next week will be the evolution of bodybuilding. So where it has come from and what has brought it to where it is now. Our top 5s will be muscle building foods. So what to eat and when to eat, pretty much in terms of building muscle and recovery. And Q&A will be back. So get your questions into us. And Craig, how can they go about contacting us?
Okay, guys, if you want to contact Colin directly, if you want an unbelievable training partner, and not blowing smoke up your ass, Colin, but it is what it is, visit www.yourphysiquepersonaltraining.com. If you want to contact myself, you can get onto me on my Facebook page at www.facebook.com/CastlemaineGym. If you want to contact the show, it's facebook.com/YourPhysiqueRadio. You can email us, guys, on yourphysiqueradio@gmail.com, and you can also follow us on Twitter @PhysiqueRadio.
Alright, well guys, with that then we come to the end of episode number 7 of Your Physique Radio. Until next week, remember, it's your physique.
And it's your choice.
Thank you for listening to Your Physique Radio. Search Your Physique Radio on iTunes, YouTube, or Facebook for replays of all previous episodes. Your Physique Radio. It's your physique. It's your choice.